Well, welcome. It's been a while since I've done one of my Zooms. It's just I've had to take a little bit of sabbatical. So I'm Jody Colgrove, and just appreciate you being here today and listening to the replay on how to kind of manage our feelings so we don't live in chaos. And the reason I took a sabbatical is because life has been a little chaotic. So I thought this is a really good subject to share and kind of talk to you about, because I know everybody's life has a little bit of chaos in it. And if we learn how to manage or be aware of that chaos and how we feel when we're in that chaos, it really does help our lives function better. And it's something that I have actually learned since 2002, and it has brought phenomenal healing to my own life and those around me. And so I wanted to share it. And so let's get started. All right. So I have taken a little bit of sabbatical, and the reason being is that my mom has passed away. She had Alzheimer's for 12 years, and it was quite a journey, and not only a journey for her, for our family, but we learned a lot about emotional intelligence and how someone, even though they can't communicate maybe with their voice or remember memories, learning how to have emotional intelligence to connect with others and have a community. It taught us a lot about what the human is capable of. And so anyway, I'm coming off of that sabbatical to be able to have some time to connect, to kind of get back into things. Of course, it's right Thanksgiving, and of course, right into Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year. So it will kind of come in little stages. But sometimes you have to do that. I have listened to something recently that said, I will not, if you say what you will not do. So I will not live in chaos. I will not live in overwhelm. I will not, and so you're stating that so that your brain picks it up and so that you will you'll live that. So that's one of my things is I will not live in overwhelm. So getting back in the swing of things slowly, taking one step at a time, that's important. And so this is one of the steps, is to start doing the Zooms again. So appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening to the replay. All right, so wanted to cover today some information about the power of emotional awareness and how it can reduce chaos. So a lot of times, life is unpredictable. We never know what's going around the corner. Back today on my post, I just posted, that life gets interesting if you're ready for the swerve. And I thought that was a really interesting way to put that, is that we do have swerves. And if we think of it as a swerve instead of a barrier or a blockage in our life, that helps us maneuver it more. And there's always around the corner, there's something new. And so just thinking about it and even stating it in a different language, or in other words, perspective like that, is really helpful for us to manage it. Okay. So when we identify our feelings, then we can feel a little bit more in control, and we also can have a better well-being because we kind of know where we stand in the whole platform of everything going on. So this particular there's several things that having emotional intelligence or being aware of our feelings really help us with. And the first one is understanding our emotional triggers. So if we know what will trigger us, we're more likely to be able to be aware of them and be ready for them when they come. And so I just know for me that a lot of times different smells like cigarette smoke or heavy laundry detergent smells will impact me and the way I behave. And a lot of times it overwhelms my liver and my body's ability to detox. So I'm just aware of, okay, I've come in contact with something, and I have the ability with the quantum healing that I do to be able to clear that so it doesn't impact my body. But that's an emotional trigger that sometimes will come up, and the people around me may trigger, and so they get a little more angry and frustrated. If you eat the wrong foods, sometimes that will make your neurotransmitters be more not functioning well, and so you may be more irritable and that kind of thing. And so being aware of the people, how it impacts you and how it impacts others is really helpful. So just being aware of knowing what's going on, and it's almost like observing what's happening and why you're behaving that way. So being aware of our triggers. Another one is to improve your decision making. Okay. So if we know how we feel about a certain situation, then we can make a better choice. And that choice can align with our values and our goals. And so sometimes if we're just in a chaotic feeling response, we will do the first thing that reacts. And I always say it's so much better to respond versus react. And so this is the same idea, is when we know where we are with our emotions and the situation we're in, then we can react to the situation. I'm sorry, I know we messed up. We can respond to the situation instead of just reacting out of fear or frustration or anger. We can actually just respond, and that those responses will line up with our goals and also our values. So another one is effective communication. So understanding our relationship, or understanding of our relationships. So in other words, if we can communicate, if we understand where we're at, then we can communicate that with others. So therefore, then we can have almost like a meaningful conversation on how we're feeling and how the other person's feeling, so that you can be able to have a good relationship and not just going back and forth with this volatile, emotions of anger or frustration. And so it minimizes miscommunication. So that's why it's another important to know your emotional awareness of where you're at. Obviously, all this would help reduce stress so that you're not living just in chaos. It also gives you a sense of control, because then you are aware of, like, okay, I don't have to just respond to this. I can react to this. I can just respond to it. With my dyslexia, it's like I do it always the wrong way, but hopefully you know what I mean. But yeah, so it gives you a sense of control. Another is that it gives you the mindfulness practice. And so everybody's talking about mindfulness. Well, this is a way of doing it, is being aware of what your emotions are. So you observe your thoughts and your feelings without judgment. And that's actually one of the things I'm going to be teaching at the very end today. Okay, so just being aware that we're observing how our feelings are, so that we don't have to make judgments about ourselves or judgment about others. You can be more forgiving. So those are all things that help with mindfulness practices. So the last one is rebuilding resilience. So instead of being overwhelmed by chaos, we can adapt, we can bounce back. And so we're all going to have times in our life where life has thrown us a curve, it's a swirl, and we can know how to deal with that chaos and adapt to it so that we can bounce back and be able to get back on our feet. And so, like I said, I've gone, they have like the list of 12 things or so that is really stressful. And I would say I'm probably doing 6 of them all at the same time, which is not cool. But because of that, I know different things that I can do in order to be able to help me stay in calm and stay in peace. And when you have a spiritual practice, that's one of the things that's not even mentioned here. That's really, really important, because that helps you be able to almost tap into a higher power to say, hey, help me get through this, help me to be able to manage this. And that is just a really important to be able to have that foundation, something to draw on to give you strength. So self-awareness helps us to be able to empowers us to be able to respond to life challenges. And that makes us have a sense of calm. All right, so that's, I think, are things that are really, really helpful, and why it's important to know what you're feeling and why. So this particular tool, and I say it's a life tool, has helped me, and I learned it back in 2002 from a lady called Laurel Mellon, and she works out of the University of Los Angeles, ULCA, I can't say it. Anyway, it may be Stanford too, but she's up in the San Francisco area, and UCLA, that's what I was thinking of. And she works up in that area, and she may have diversified since now. But I thought it was very interesting because I was listening to a tape years ago, and they mentioned her. And then when I found her program, I was like, oh, that corresponds. So I thought that was very interesting that she's kind of come into my life several times. But she wrote many wonderful books. And one of them was called The Healing Solution. And it really, or Solutions, I think it was called. And she really lays out how to have that emotional intelligence, how to learn how to respond instead of react, how to check in with our feelings and know how we're feeling so that we're able to not live in chaos. And it can help us with so many different areas. So it doesn't matter, what the situation is. Okay. So I think the most important thing is, I talked about not having judgment. So the way she's labeled these feelings, I think, are really key. So she's labeled them as earned rewards and essential pains. Okay. So we all have earned reward feelings and we all have essential pain feelings. So what her purpose is that throughout the day, we should be doing what they call a feelings check. And we should check in with ourselves and say, how am I feeling right now? And once you make that a practice, then you're kind of always aware of hey, how am I feeling right now? So you make it just a practice as you go on. But first, a lot of times you have to check in 10 times a day, and tie it with something. Your phone going off as an alarm would be fine. But that's what helps you be able to check in with yourself and find out where you're at. So I'll teach you the feelings check. So what she says is, okay, there's earned reward feelings. So you just kind of say, okay, well, where am I? So you say, well, am I grateful? Am I happy? Am I secure? Do I feel proud? Do I feel rested? Do I feel satisfied? Do I feel loved? Do I feel healthy? So those are the first earned reward feelings. And the issue is here, you don't have to say what you're grateful for. You're just saying, hey, I feel grateful. All right. And so as you look at the list, you can say, okay, yeah, I am feeling grateful that I'm doing my first Zoom in a while. Okay. I'm happy that it's starting to become winter, so I get to see the snow. Actually, right now I have fall leaves still, but I'm proud that I got dinner ready before I did the Zoom. And so when I get off here, I'm going to go have dinner with my son. I don't feel rested, so I'm not going to put that one there. You don't even have to bring that up. You don't even have to say it. I do feel satisfied because I'm having a little bit of hot chocolate this afternoon because it's kind of wet and drippy and kind of rainy. But like I said, I don't have to go into all that and why. I can just say, yeah, I feel satisfied and I feel loved and I feel healthy. Okay. So those are the earned rewards feelings that I have right now. So then now I'm going to mention this essential pain feelings. Angry, sad, afraid, guilty, tired, hungry, full, lonely, and sick. All right. So you can see how some of those are the one side and one or the other, healthy versus sick. Okay. So again, we just say, okay, I'm looking at my list. How do I feel? Maybe a little guilty. And maybe a little lonely. Okay. So I said before I was loved, I feel loved, but I also feel lonely. And that's okay. You can have, both feel hungry, healthy and sick, let's say, for different reasons. And like I said, you don't have to state it if you don't want to. Sometimes that's helpful to get you to understand where you're feeling and why. So once you've identified what are my essential or earned reward feelings and what are my essential pain feelings, then I think the easy way or what to do next is to say, okay, what do I need? So how do I feel? What do I need? Okay. And so sometimes that is helpful to say, hey, from I'm trying to think of what that would be for me. So what do I need? So I need to get off, the Zoom today and make dinner. Okay. But what is another need I have? Maybe if I feel a little bit lonely, it would be good for me to make sure my son and I watch something together while dinner tonight. So that would be a need that I have to help me not feel lonely. Okay. If it was that I was sad, it would be, maybe I need to reach out and text somebody or connect with someone in my family to let them know I'm there for them and connection is always really good. So that's an example of what do I need. So again, figure out what your earned rewards feelings are, your essential pain feelings. So how do I feel? And then what do I need? Okay. And that will help answer it. So that's just a very simple tool, and that really helps you start learning where your mindset is at the moment, where your emotional intelligence is at the moment, and helps you be able to eventually create a pathway so that you don't live in chaos. So I found that very profound, and it really has helped me. And so I wanted to share that with you. There's other parts of her plan when it helps you kind of figure out, okay, where you are on that spectrum. If you're really down the dumps, and having, a lot of those essential pain feelings, there's a way that she has to work on that. And so that's something that's part of her program, which is also very helpful. At Quantum Techniques, what we try to do is say, okay, if you start having those kind, we've got somebody to admit here real quick. So if you do have someone, let's put this on speaker view. There you go. So if you do have someone that is that you're finding that you just can't quite get out of those essential pain feelings, that you just have a lot of those that just won't go away, that's where, let's say, a trauma sequence that we teach is really, really helpful. And that way that you can say that to try to minimize or get down to where you can start having a balance of the earned reward and essential pain feeling. So if you'd like a copy of that, I can send you that. So you can just email me at jody@quantumtechniques.com, and I can send that trauma sequence code to you. All right, so apologies, so I'm just kind of at the end of the thing. And so if you leave your email, I can send you a link to the replay, and that way you can get it. Because we're kind of at the end, so I don't want to miss out on the information. But I'd love for you to join me, because there's other people that are looking at the replay. I would love you guys to join me on my Facebook group. And I just changed the group as part of those little micro things I'm going to be working on to get kind of back in the swing of things in 2024 after my kind of sabbatical off. And so my Facebook group that I'm changing to is Holistic Health for Christians, Tapping Toxins and Trauma. And those are all the things that I am constantly talking about with people, is how to tap with whether it's EFT, QT, to help you get your health back on track, and then how to clear toxins, and then dealing with the traumas like we talked about, which I have many Zooms on to help you deal with traumas. So I can leave, I'll leave my, let me leave my email address in the chat. Sometimes it's always hard to quite find the chats. Sorry about this. There it is. Okay. So here's the email address to email me in regards to wanting the trauma code. And you can just say, hey, I'd like the trauma code. All right. Then I'm also going to include the new link for the to join the Facebook group. Okay, so I'm going to include that in the chat right here. Work. Yep, great. Okay. All right. So it's important to help you discover that root cause of your health issue so you can get clarity, have energy, and live in peace. So this tool of learning how to know how I feel and what I need is part of one of those tools to help you start living in clarity so you can live in peace. So one of the best ways to get back on track ultimately is to have a one-on-one with me to learn to do a treatment to find out, what are your triggers? Why is that particular emotion keep coming up that just won't go away? And so I will also put a link in the chat about doing a 60-minute session, and that helps you kind of get back on track of where you want to be. And what a great time to do this right before, or to schedule it right about the New Year's, so that we can get you started for 2024 on a right foot. And sometimes it's like I said, it's those little micro things that are really, really helpful. So I've included the link in there for, I think I did that twice. Hold on one second. I did. Sorry about that. All right. Let me include, I'm not sure. I think I should have that. All right. Let me include the website to sign up for a session request real quick. There. So that's how you sign up for a session request. There. Okay. I've included that. All right, so I look forward to seeing you next month. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and I may not do one for December just because we're kind of at the end of November and we're going to run into Christmas. And like I said, my life is a little bit here and there and everything. So most likely we will have another Zoom in January and get started in the new year. So I look forward to having you on the Zoom then, and I look forward to hearing from you on how you enjoyed this feelings check and whether it worked for you. But it really does help you with your mindset and keeping you on track and knowing where you're at. And then you know what direction to go to get your health and happiness back. All right. Blessings. And I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. All right. Bye.